Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. This is Kyra and today we are going to be working on part 2 of our page decorating for our Naturalist journal kit. I already have a tutorial for the cover and the first decorating as well as a flip through, so make sure you check those out if you haven't already. So to start off this video, we're going to just go ahead and begin with something simple here. I'm grabbing one of these pockets that come with the Naturalist Flora kit, and I'm just going to be adding that to one of the pages, sort of just sandwiching it around the page, and then doing a little bit of decorating here with some ephemera pieces and a little paper clip. Just kind of tucking things into the pocket here. Really quick, easy decorating. And then I'm going to be taking one of these pages from our old ledgers journal pages. These are like the regular sized one. We have these ones and then we also have like the travel sized ones. And I'm just going to be tearing off the edges and then inking them with some distress ink in the color Vintage Photo. And then I'm going to crush it up and give it lots of nice wrinkles and textures to kind of age this piece of paper. And then I'm going to fold it up just kind of messy and tuck it into the pocket, and that's just going to give it a little bit more texture and just make this pocket look a little bit more full and interesting here. I'm just going to add a couple of smaller pieces in here, just layering things up. And then on the other side, again, I filled it with ephemera pieces and a lace doily, and I'm just taking a scrap piece of fabric I had on the table and one of these little fussy cuts, and I'm just going to tuck it into this paper clip here with like a label and just make a tiny little cluster. Little simple, easy decorating here to start off. And then I am going to finish this with a hardware clip at the top. This is optional. You could use some faux hardware to have the same effect. It's entirely up to you. I will link all of the kits used in today's video or mentioned down in the description box. So if you're looking for anything, make sure you check down there. And then taking some scrap ribbon pieces I had on the table again, I'm just going to kind of tie them in a knot and hook a paper clip through it. And then I glued a label onto the front and just made this little like paperclip like cluster here that I'm just going to add to the top of this page for decoration. And then I am going to one of these smaller half pages and I'm taking this little clipboard ephemera piece and I'm just gluing some little scrap ribbons. You'll see in this video we're going to be using a lot of scraps because I'm getting to the second half of my decorating, so I have a lot of little pieces left over from the first half and I want to make sure I use them up if I can so I don't have to throw too much away or make too much waste. So I'm just making like a little cluster here and I'm going to glue an ephemera piece on top like this and add a small little label from the kit at the top here. Just glue that on. And then for the background, I'm going to glue this scrap I just tore from one of the pretty papers. I know some people have like struggles tearing paper, but remember you can always print more, so don't be afraid to rip things up and let it add extra texture and layers to whatever you're creating. And then for this next page, I'm using a decorative pocket and I'm just going to pick one that's large enough for this tag to go in. Now this birdhouse tag is actually from another video project. I will link that tutorial down below if you're interested, but I like to use old pieces in newer journals just so that, you know, they have a home. And then for this page, I'm going to be adding a large pocket to the side here. This pocket comes with the kit, and I'm just going to glue that down, leaving the slanted edge open so I can fill it with a couple of ephemera pieces here. And then again on this other side, taking another like shredded piece of decorative paper, I'm just going to glue that down just to make this page a little more, you know, decorative. And I'm adding this tag pocket here. I just added glue to the sides and bottom, leaving the top open to tuck ephemera into, decorating it with a couple of little fussy cut pieces and just really filling this thing up, maybe adding a paper clip or two to give it, you know, a little bit more texture and make it feel a little bit more natural. And then on this other side, I decided to take this little tag. This is actually from our tags and labels kit, and I will have that linked down below as well. And I'm just going to add it to this ephemera piece using a bulb pin, and that'll just give this a little bit of movement here to have like a little swinging charm. And then down in the corner, I'm taking this ephemera piece. This is from the Naturalist Fauna kit, one of those fussy cuts. And I'm going to cut that out, and then I added glue to the side and bottom so it creates like a little tuck spot. And then I am decorating some of these tags with like ribbons, or like I made this bee. I took the fussy cut and made it into like a little tab, just gluing it to the top, you know, just adding more and more layers as we go here. And again, I'm adding a skinny word tag or two along with a bold pin, and I'm just gonna like clip that to a mini paper clip on this tiny tag. And I can tuck that in here, and that's gonna give me even more movement on this page. And this is a very full page. It's very stuffed. I added pretty much everything I could think of. So it's very overflowing with lots of fun ephemera goodies. All right, moving on here. This was in our scrap pile that we have in the craft room. This is from a recent video project. We have these like 3D fall leaves here, and so I decided to go ahead and add that to the center page. And I was kind of running low on ideas, so when I do that, sometimes I just like to take all the pockets from my kits and I just start kind of gluing them down to random pages, and sometimes just having a pocket on a page will give me sort of a creative jumping off point. So I'll just begin like filling them, and at some point I'll start to get an idea. So like for this page here, I ended up adding these 3 pockets together to make kind of like a layered pocket here, and I'm just going to start filling it with ephemera pieces. I'm taking these tags in these various colors that come with the kit, as well as a couple of other small ephemera pieces from both the Flora and Fauna kit, and then, you know, adding some fussy cuts, gluing them down, and just kind of making things pretty and decorative here. Not too much going into this portion yet. And I am going to add a little piece of cheesecloth and using some puff tape, like this little label here, and I'm just gonna sort of glue and press that down, and that's gonna make like a pretty little label for the front. And I was inspired by the colors on these tickets, so I'm taking some fussy cut butterflies from our fussy cut butterfly kit, and I tried to find colors that matched the tickets, and I'm just gonna glue those to the top here, folding them in half so they have a little bit of dimension, just like that. And then on this page, again, I'm taking some of those papers from the kit, and I'm just going to tear some of the edges off here, and I'm going to layer them up like this, kind of eyeballing how long I need pieces to be so that they layer properly. And then I'm going to add glue to the side and the bottom of like the straight edge on these, and I'm going to glue this down to the page here like this. And these are going to create some little tuck spots, like layered tuck spots on the page. So kind of making more pockets of our own. And I'm going to also add this longer ephemera piece here. Same thing, adding glue to the right side and the top and bottom, leaving the left side open so that we can add little pieces in there in a little bit. And then because this tag wasn't quite long enough, there was like a little space showing at the bottom. It bothered me, so I'm going to hide it with this little mouse fussy cut, and again adding just some glue to the side and bottom of that, and that will leave the top open to tuck some items into here. And I'm going to use these little short tickets for that, and I'm going to add some ribbon, like a little piece of like twine, I guess, to the top. So I'm just using a micro hole punch to punch a hole, and then I'm tying like some little twine in there. And that just gives a little more layer and texture here. You can see we've got all these lovely pieces all sort of stacked up. All right, for this next page, again, I am taking one of those pocket tags here, and I'm just going to glue that down, leaving the top open. And I ended up not tucking any ephemera pieces into the back like I thought, because I kind of like the way that the art on this page looks like it's kind of popping out from the back of the pocket, so I just sort of left it like that. And then using a Dragonfly fussy cut here to make like a little tuck for this public library card that comes with the kit. And then I'm going to glue like a little page tab to the top, just adding a small journal word here to fill that out so it's not so blank. All right, and now moving on to this other page, I'm taking these little coin envelopes that come with the kit, and they have tags that go in them as well, and I'm just going to glue those down to the page like this, and they have these little tags in them, and I'm going to set those aside. We'll do a little bit of decorating in a minute. For the front of the coin envelopes, I'm taking some of this sari silk, this like ribbon I have, and I'm going to just tie them into some little bows here. and just kind of tug at them until I get a shape I like, and like trim off a little bit of extra I have. And I do save these scraps because I tend to use them in little clusters that you'll see later. And then I'm just going to glue those bows down, and this did make the journal a little bit thick, so keep that in mind. If you use thicker pieces, your journal is going to be a little bit thicker. And then I just added some journal words and page tabs so that it makes it easier to pull these little tags out like this. And there you go, that page is done. So moving on to another page here, I am going to be adding some glue in sort of an L shape to this little tag here, and I'm just going to glue it down into the corner of my page like this. And then I'm going to add a little fussy cut, again making kind of like a little L shape with my glue and just tucking it into the corner. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of decorating with some like extra scraps I found, so I'm just like adding some things with like paper clips and stuff like that, just sort of decorating this page kind of how I feel, adding a couple of items, tucking them into those tuck spots like this. Really quick and simple decorating here. And then for this next page, I'm taking one of the envelopes that come with the kit, and I'm going to make a little flip, so I'm just going to glue sort of that flap over one page. And I'm going to go ahead and hide it with a little ephemera piece here. I'm just adding some glue to the bottom and the sides like this. And I'm going to tuck some other various ephemera tags and stuff into the pocket like so. And then flipping it over, you can see our little flip out goes like this. And I'm just going to add a little bit of distress ink here so that this isn't so white and stark. Just like that. And now I'm going to make some little specimen cards. So I took these little coin envelopes, and we do have these linked in our website where we talk about like all of the supplies we use. And I went ahead and cut one in half, and I'm just going to add some distress ink around the edge. It's important that you do this on the side that the plastic is not, otherwise it'll just rub off. So you want it on the other side of the coin envelope there. And then I'm going to glue some little fussy cuts down just at the areas like the tips of the wings here down to the back of the coin holder like this. And that's going to make like this little see-through specimen card, and I'm just going to tuck that right here underneath this little paper clip. And I made this B one too, which I think is really cute. I'm going to set that aside and save that for a little bit later here. And if you wanted to, you could glue something to the back. I just left mine blank. And then on the front of the envelope, I'm taking this piece, actually comes from the magnifying glass freebie that we have. That's also available in our Etsy shop. If you don't want to join the group to get it for free, you can get it there. And I'm just using it kind of as like a little decorative background for this piece of like, I think this is hemp rope, I think. And I'm just sort of creating like a little border here, gluing that down like this. That kind of gives it a bit of a 3D effect here. And in the center, I'm adding this little butterfly. This actually comes from our Purple Roses and Butterflies kit. I had a couple of pieces left over, so I just decided to take the butterfly from that and fold it in half and then glue it down so it's got kind of like a 3D pop-out effect. And I'm finishing it up with some of this like woven ribbon that I have that I picked up at the craft store recently. Alright, and then one little page tab here makes it a little bit easier to flip. And inside I'm going to again take one of those ledger pages and do the same thing where I kind of like tear it up and fold it and just tuck it in there, just like this. And on the other page I'm taking a scrap from that same kit. I just tore a piece off and I'm gluing it to this background here along with this, this larger fussy cut that comes from the Fauna kit. And I just glued like a little fussy cut flower into the center and added a label. This is from the FAUX book plates and labels kit that we have, again linked down in the description box. And then for this next page, I'm taking this piece from the kit, the Naturalist Flora kit, and I'm just going to add something to this background here, just a little ephemera piece so that when you pull this card out, it's not so blank. And I also have like a paperclip piece that's on there that actually comes from an older project, which was the Paperclip Pocket project. Again, that's linked down below as well. And I'm going to be gluing it on top of a large piece of cheesecloth that I glued down to a brown envelope, and so I'm just going to kind of layer it, envelope, then cheesecloth, then this little like pull out card here, and I'm just going to glue it down like this and trim off a little bit of that extra cheesecloth and save that for making clusters later. And there you go. Now you've got kind of this cute little textured envelope here. And to make our flip, I'm just going to fold it over a page and add some glue to the envelope flap like this. And then just press it down, and I'm going to add this little fussy cut here just to make it a little more decorative. Just like that. And then on the other side, I'm going to flip that envelope open and decorate this page a little bit. So I'm adding this tag with a little bit of glue at the top and bottom. And that's going to create like a little, sort of like a belly band of sorts, where you can tuck little ephemera pieces into it like this. And then I'm also taking one of those faux book plates and a label to finish it off. And for the envelope itself, I'm using some of these corners here, and I'm just going to glue those down. And if you don't have corners, that's okay. You can use whatever you have to decorate. And then on this little half page here, I added a pocket with some ephemera pieces and a page tab. And then I'm going to just add a label with some cheesecloth here and just kind of glue that down. Quick little decorating. And then I'm also adding a skinny word tag with a paper clip just to create a little bit of movement on that piece. And then here, taking another envelope flip, I'm just going to add this very large decorative ephemera piece from the Fauna kit, and a page tab and some cheesecloth at the bottom here, along with like a little strip of ribbon to kind of clean it up a little bit. And then underneath it, I'm going to glue down some of these tags. Now I'm just gluing these down decoratively, so they don't really serve a purpose. They're just to be pretty. But if you wanted to, this top one, you could leave the left side open, and that would create like a little tuck spot between the tickets. And then just filling up that envelope here, and I'm taking this like little lace doily. We actually got this with some coffee dyed paper we bought online. This just came with it, so I figured instead of throwing it out, I would use it in my project here, just like this. And then with a little bit of washi tape, I'm just going to add a little fussy cut flower from our Scrapbox, and that'll finish up the decorating for this page. Alright, moving back to that autumn leaf page here, I finally kind of figured out what I want to do with it. I'm going to take some of those layered scraps, and again, these are just decorative, not functional. I'm just going to glue them down with like a little piece of ribbon here to make it pretty. Adding some corners here to each of the corners of these pages, and then one of those faux book plates, I'm going to fold it in half and glue it across the pages like this. And then for the envelope on the left side, I'm going to be taking a doily that I cut in half, and I went ahead and stamped the edge with just a little bit of distress ink, and I'm going to just glue it onto that envelope edge like this, making it nice and decorative. Not every page needs to be something crazy, fold out, you know, flip or hidden spot. Sometimes you can just decorate things, and that's okay too. Now for this page, I'm layering a couple of these angled pockets here, and I'm going to sort of lay them out where I think they look good and mark the bottom of the first one, and that'll help kind of keep things straight. And then I'm going to add some glue to the sides and bottom of each of these and glue them one on top of the other like this. And then I'm just filling it with all sorts of ephemera, and I'm taking that little bee specimen card and I'm adding like a tiny clothespin to it, as well as like a paper clip here. And then like a little tuck spot at the bottom with like a fussy cut mushroom, just like that. And then setting the journal aside, I have this envelope from the kit, and I'm just going to glue a little fussy cut card here, this little ephemera piece, onto this blank space on the card on the outside. And then on the inside, we're going to do a little bit of extra decorating here. And sometimes I find that if you're getting stuck with your journal decorating, it's nice to just kind of work on a smaller individual piece. And that can kind of get the inspiration flowing again and kind of feel a little less daunting and help you kind of figure out what you want to do when you go back to decorating your journal here. So for this, I'm layering up a couple of ephemera pieces and a label, and I'm just going to punch a hole in them like this, adding a brad to secure that down. And I'm going to glue this down on top of another one of those little note card ephemera pieces on the back here. And when adding glue, I added it across the entire top of this, like back half of this little label. I would actually recommend doing like just a small dab of glue at the top, because when it's over half, it only swings like this much. You can't swing it much further because of where it's glued down, so just something to keep in mind there. And then I'm adding an Ephemera Fussy cut to this corner here, just decoratively, adding a little ribbon to the top and one of those faux book plates, making like a little label here using some journal words. And then on the other side, I'm actually doing something I kind of wish I'd basically run out of these little bottles. I'd used them up already mostly. So if I had more, I would have done more of this throughout the journal. I kind of like it. I'm taking some of those book plates and I'm kind of turning them into like little holders, I suppose, for these jars. So I'm going to cut those out, add a couple of journal words to the front here, some decorative pieces. And then all you have to do is add some glue to either end of these little label holders, and then your jars can just go ahead and slide right in, and so those pieces can kind of like be removable, and it's kind of fun. If I'd thought of this a little bit earlier, I might have made like an entire page of like specimen jars with labels on them. I thought that would be kind of cute. Maybe I can do something similar for Halloween when we get closer to that. But anyway, I just thought this was kind of cute and fun little addition to this little envelope here. Alright, so this is what it looks like when it's all done. So let's go ahead and add this into our journal. So I'm going back to this page where we made a magnetic pocket in the first decorating video, and I'm just going to finish it with a little bit of decorating here, add a label, another half of that lace doily with the distress ink on it. And then on the opposite page, I'm just going to glue the envelope down. You could use like Velcro dots or something if you want it to be removable, maybe like a belly band or a ribbon or something. I'm just going to glue mine down for simplicity. And then this is what it looks like when you open it up. All right, now for the other pages, I started running out of ephemera pieces, and instead of printing out more, I decided to go into my Scrapbox and find some old pieces from other kits. So these are not from the Naturalist kit, but if you are interested in any of these pieces specifically, just let me know in the comments and I will try to find which kit they are from. And then for some of these pieces, again, I was running out of like page tabs, so I decided to just go ahead and fold some of my book plates in half, or cut them in half, and just glue them behind some of the pieces, and that made like little like pull tabs for them. I actually thought that these look kind of cute, so I like them. Right, so I'm going to do that a couple of times here, using up some of these spare ephemera pieces, just adding them to the journal using things like paper clips, just kind of keeping things simple. And with this paper clip, I decided to go ahead and grab some little ribbon scraps that I had from the table, and I'm just going to kind of like ball them up into like a little cluster here and tuck those underneath the paper clip like this. This can be a little tricky, so just kind of work at it until it comes together. And then I'm just going to glue a label on top to kind of hide the paper clip and make the cluster look a little bit more finished. Again, kind of doing that simple decorating today. And again, I'm taking some of these pages. These are actually from a freebie. We are going to have this available in our shop. Currently, the listing is not up. It might be up by the time this video goes live. If not, just wait around for a couple of days. It should come out very soon. And I'm just going to add those with like a paper clip and a little decorative ephemera piece. And then I'm going through my journal and just finding pockets that I forgot to fill and just sort of tucking some things in there, using some paper clips to paper clip a couple of ephemera pieces into various pages, doing some really simple decorating just to make the journal feel really full, because again, decorating doesn't always have to be very complicated. And then for this piece here, again, I'm taking some of those freebie pages from like a mini journal. This came with a freebie from our interview video we did, where it was like a get to know us. And I'm taking these pages and I'm just gluing them back to back like this to create like a tiny flip. And then I'm going to round those corners and add a little bit of distress ink here, just like this. And then I'm going to glue it down into my journal in just the corner of one of the pages here, just like so. And before it dries, I'm taking another one of those hardware plate, like book plates, and I'm gonna cut off like a small end from one of them and make another one of those like page tabs, like those faux sort of page tabs in the back here. Tucking it in like this. Just like that, and then I'm going to add a label and a journal word to the cover, and then I'll keep it closed with a paper clip. I'm really favoring the paper clips with this journal, using them a lot. And then now we have this like little mini journal inside of our journal here, just kind of pretty and decorative little piece. And then moving on to another brown envelope, another thing I'm using a lot of, I'm going to add a corner to sort of like the tip of the envelope folding flap here. And to decorate the front, I'm just using another scrap piece of paper with some distress ink around it, torn edges. And then I'm taking this scrap from our scrap pile. This is one of the French rabbit pieces, I believe. And I'm going to glue that to the front with a couple of faux hinges here. And then I'm just going to keep using up those scraps I have on my table here, some paper, some ribbons, a label, and just kind of tucking them into some of the paper clips that I have, just kind of decorate the journal. And I'm also taking one of these larger pieces. This comes from our the Shabby vintage snippet kit, and we did do a full tutorial on that. Again, that will be linked down as well, down in the description box as well, if you're curious on how to make that. And I just tore a piece from that and made like a little tuck spot in the corner here. And I'm going to be adding some cards, and I made some little pull tabs out of just strips of ribbon here, just folded them in half and glued them down like this. And I'm going to add those little pieces into that little tuck spot like that. And now on this page, I'm just going to use up some of these little fussy cuts that I have. So I'm going to glue down a strip of ribbon here and just kind of line these fussy cuts up the page, adding like a little butterfly at the top like this. And if you want them to look nice and organized, what you should do is kind of something I did when I did the belly band that we did in the very beginning of part 1, which is you want like your bottom pieces in the front and your top pieces in the back. I kind of forgot that as I was doing this, so it looks a little bit messier, but you know what? That's okay. You know, it's about the journey, not the destination. It still looks pretty, and it's kind of a fun way to use up any little fussy cut scraps. And if you have just some regular paper scraps lying around, you can always just make those into a little paperclip cluster here. It's a perfectly viable way to use up scraps, and it keeps you from wasting anything. All right, now we are moving on to the final project for this journal, kind of the last creative burst here. I actually ended up loving this page when it was done. So we're going to be taking some coin envelopes here, and I'm going to be cutting these in half and making some little specimen cards here. So I'm going to go over those with distress ink. And I've also got some fussy cut butterflies. I decided to use all blue ones, and I'm going to set aside a large blue butterfly and one of those coin envelopes. That's going to be for a slightly different piece here, but for the left page we're going to be using all of these little butterflies and these single little specimen cards here. These are just half of coin envelopes gone over with distress ink, and you can leave the backs blank because we're going to be gluing them down anyway, so don't worry about that. And then with these little fussy cut butterflies, I'm going to just glue them down kind of onto the page randomly here, leaving kind of enough space between all of them so that they can have their coin envelopes on top of them. So just like this. And then with the coin envelopes, I'm going to add glue to each of the corners, just like this. And you're going to hold it and you'll want to press it down to make sure it doesn't pop off the page. You want it to be fully dried, so do that with each of these envelopes. So just go ahead and glue them down, and I didn't make all of mine straight. I kind of like them being kind of crooked here. And then for like this one, I went ahead and glued the coin envelope on top of the other ones, and that kind of gives it a 3D effect. And it sort of looks like you just dropped all of these specimen cards on the page, and I kind of liked that sort of messy, realistic look here. And then with the larger butterfly specimen card, I'm going to be cutting it with some scissors, kind of going back and forth, making kind of like a torn zigzag pattern here. We kind of want to look like it like burst open. It was like torn apart. So that's what we're doing. Just Go ahead and just cut that apart like that. And with the butterfly, we are going to add a little bit of distress ink, fold it in half to give it dimension, and we're going to glue it to this upper corner here so that kind of looks like it's flying away. And I'm going to glue those two halves of that torn coin envelope at the bottom here to kind of make it look like the butterfly escaped from its little specimen card, just like that. And then I'm adding this label. This comes from the skinny word tags. So again, I will have that link down below. Gluing that to one of those book plate labels, and then I'm going to glue that inside an even larger book plate label. And we're going to glue that to the bottom corner of the page like this. And there you go. Now you have your specimen card page done. All right, so that is going to finish up the decoration tutorials for the Naturalist journal kit. Thank you so much for watching and following along, and I hope that you got some new ideas and inspiration for your journal. We are going to be having another journal tutorial coming out very soon for the Peach journal kit, so keep an eye out for that. I will be working very hard to get that to you as soon as possible, hopefully before summer is over. And we will see you in that next tutorial. So thank you so much for watching. Bye!